Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Jonas. I'm your host, Jonas Manashowitz. Today, my guest is Catherine Michetti. Catherine is a wonderful musician, a wonderful friend. Catherine, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You specialize, your primary instrument is the double bass, correct?
Yes.
All right. And I love when you're playing, I've seen you play it many times now. You're so focused and you fix your glasses,
Yeah.
which, it's all such a joy to watch and to listen to. So let's talk about, the beginnings of this, your early foray into being a musician. And I mean, learning to read music, like all of that. Let's talk about that. How old were you?
Well, my first real experience with music is my mom signed me up for classes at Music Together.
Okay.
And that's basically a program for babies and toddlers to just listen to music and just experience it. So that was some of my first memories with music. I remember they had a big poster on the wall with all the orchestra instruments, and they were playing all the different sounds. And I remember that was one of my earliest memories, was like hearing all those orchestra sounds and being like, oh, I really like that, or I don't like that. Like one of the first instruments, so weird. I never even like played it or had any real experiences besides playing in an orchestra with one. But one of the first instruments I remember my mind loving was the bassoon.
Who knows why something speaks to us
Yeah.
or moves us, you know? Okay, so now at that school, you're not actually playing instruments yet? Or
No, I was only a few months old when I started. I was very young, but they would like make us play bongos and stuff and
I
whatever.
see.
But that's kind
Okay.
of where I think my love for music started, just because it was so young. But I did it for a few years. So
Okay, and
yeah.
then when you actually started listening to music, right? I guess sitting in front of the radio, or your mom playing records, or what was some of the earliest stuff you can remember, being moved by?
Um, well, I remember a lot of times if I was in the car with my dad, I would listen to a lot of his rock music that like a lot of like metal or like classic metal and like some other stuff. And him and my mom also would put on some like Beatles and other stuff like that. Like, I remember one of the first bands I really enjoyed was Queen. Like I would listen to them for like years. They're my favorite band for
Understandable.
a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Queen and AC/DC, I really liked
Okay.
at a very young age as well.
Interesting.
So
Two
yeah,
ends, two sort of different ends of the spectrum.
yeah.
Do you remember the first music that you went and bought on your own?
I think the first time I ever bought like a record for myself, when I finally got a record player around, I think maybe high school. Um, I think it was an Elton John record.
Oh,
I
I love
forgot
it.
I forgot which one, but it was a couple Elton John records that I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific.
So
Terrific.
yeah.
And Elton, do you gravitate towards the songwriting with Elton John, or just love the sound of the whole thing?
I really like the sound. I think I really enjoy piano in a rock setting. So like
Mm.
I really like Elton John, but I think my favorite's Billy Joel. I know there's like some people that really don't like him. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I just
Yeah.
love all of his stuff, and
Me too.
I mean I'm obsessed with him. The first time I saw him live, I came prepared. I knew all the songs and like the little interaction things and everything, and
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just such rich music,
Yeah. Mhm.
and he writes the lyrics as well.
Yeah.
Elton has someone help him with the
Yes.
lyrics, but Billy Joel
Yeah.
does it all himself pretty
Mhm.
much. So yeah, I'm also a big fan, and I
Yeah.
have been,
Yeah.
from a young age. And New York, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So okay, early iPad Nano,
Yeah.
some Elton John. And do you remember your earliest? I would imagine you do, but some of your early experiences playing with other musicians.
Um, well, when I first started playing music, my mom signed me up for classical piano lessons. So
Okay.
I was pretty much playing by myself just because it was like solo piano stuff. So and then about a year after I started doing piano lessons, that's when I went up to my dad and I was like, I want you to teach me guitar. And he started teaching me, and he's so good at guitar, but he's like not a great
Yeah.
teacher. He's very like quiet and awkward, kind of a little bit like me, but maybe a little more so. Learning from him was he was just so far advanced and didn't really know how to like come down to my level where I knew nothing. I mean, I knew basic music theory because I've been playing piano, so I was able to
Right.
figure it out fairly quickly, but still. So that's when I started taking lessons with Kathy.
Okay. Kathy Ann,
Mm-hmm.
who I had a conversation
Yeah.
recently with her about you,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she recognized early on that you were special,
Mm-hmm.
prodigious,
Yeah.
and I love hearing these stories. And so, how did you get to the stand-up bass? This I'm really curious about because it's a very large,
Yeah.
it's a large sort of imposing instrument,
Mm-hmm.
which takes a very definitive technique.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we come to that?
Around fourth and fifth grade, my mom started to realize like, oh, she's not really into sports or any of like the stuff that's happening there.
Okay.
It's just, but I loved music class and that sort of thing. I'd be singing in the choir at church, and I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel. And so my mom thought it would be good for me to audition for this school, this middle school in Brooklyn called Mark Twain. And it's for um, kids who have like different talents, and they had different sections of the school. They called them talents, and I auditioned for strings talent with guitar, and then for winds talent, they let you audition for piano on winds
Okay.
talent, and then if you got into any of those programs, you'd pick one if you could pick one, or whichever one you get a higher score on, and then you pick the instrument that you want, or they give you an instrument to play. So I got into both um, programs, and my mom was like, oh, she did a bunch of research. And she's like, oh, the strings talent sounds a lot better. Like they
I
seem to
could see
really know
your
what's
mom
going on. Yeah, right.
diving in.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she was like in charge of the whole thing. I'm like I was nervous going into it because I'm in the Catholic school bubble. I'm like I don't know what's outside in the real world. I want to just they tell you that you
Okay.
want to stay in there, but so my mom's like, no, this is gonna be better for you. You'll be able to like play music and do what you're really good at. So I got in, and my mom said you should go to the strings talent and you should pick bass. And I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't really know what was going on. I know I didn't want to play the violin. I never liked the sound of the violin. I
Okay.
didn't know what a viola was, and then I found out, and I was like, okay.
Or cello.
I was thinking about cello, but so they already had a bunch of kids who came in and auditioned on violin and cello and got in for violin and cello. So they only had, I think they had a bunch of violin spots open because there's a lot of violins in a string orchestra, and then they only had one cello section, or one cello player that could pick up the cello as a new
Uh-huh.
instrument. They had no bass players, and I chose, my mom said to choose bass, and she was like, I think this would be a really good decision. She's so smart. Like, she doesn't play music, but she's just got a really good musical ear. And
She
she has a lot of
certainly
common
does.
sense as well. So
Yeah.
she was just like, play bass. It's going to work. I was like, okay. So I did, and they let me choose bass. So then I kind of continued from there. And bass is just, upright bass is kind of daunting. And I
Yeah.
had a half size, and I was still too short for it. There's a video somewhere of me. I don't know if my mom sent it in or something like that, but there's a video of me in sixth grade for my first performance carrying the bass across the stage, and it's like twice my size.
Oh my goodness, I'm
And
gonna have to reach out to her for that.
it's awesome. I'm like, I don't like watching videos of myself, but I watched this video. I was like, oh my gosh, that
Okay.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I chose bass. I got an audition for the school, and my mom was like, you should choose bass. It's gonna do good for you. So
Okay. And then you had your studying of it. You had a specific was it theory applied to the bass, or was it specific lessons, on the bass? I'm curious as to your path, which led you to where you are today, which is, you know, pretty prolific.
so when I first started at Mark Twain, the teacher, Mrs. Baumgart, who I still keep in touch with today,
Terrific.
she was great, and she's a bass player, but she had to teach all the other kids how to play all the other instruments. And I had a basic understanding of bass because it's just the four lower strings of the guitar.
Okay.
So she was like, "Do you understand like how this works?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she taught me like the basic technique of how to like press down on the strings so I have enough. And I don't remember having too much of an issue with it. But I know some people who start out with upright have a really hard time pressing down. I might have. I can't really remember too well. But I was just like super eager to learn it, and but she wasn't really able to sit down with me and teach me like things individually, and I didn't have a private lesson teacher as well. I just kind of was. I got the basics, and then I sort of taught myself because she saw that I was a little bit more well off than some of the other students who really didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So
Right.
until for all of middle school, I didn't have any private lessons at all.
Okay.
I kind of was mostly self-taught, and I got some direction here and there from Mrs. Baumgart, but yeah, it was mostly me. So
Were you playing to Mingus records? I mean, Jaco Pastorius, any of the classic.
I when I auditioned for the high school that I went into, I also auditioned for classical, and the school was a contemporary classical high school. It was brand new. I was the third graduating class, so it was like really, really new, just
Okay.
starting out. But I got in, and I remember the first day they said, "Oh hey," they're like, "You're the new bass player." I was like, "Yeah," and they said, "We heard from your mom that you did a camp over the summer where you did jazz, and this camp is called Encore Coda, and the only reason I did jazz was to fill up my schedule. I did rock stuff too, because by seventh grade I was playing electric bass in a band.
Okay.
But upright was still my main. But when I got into high school, they were like, "Yeah, we heard that you did a jazz thing," and I was like, "I didn't like it though. I didn't really want to be there. I did it because I had to fill up my schedule, and I was trying something new, but I didn't like it." And they're like, "Okay, well, we need a jazz bass player, so you're gonna do that now." And I was just like, what?
Okay.
I don't want to do that. What are you talking about? And I said, can I at least still stay in the classical program, because that's literally what I auditioned to do.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And they were like, yeah, we'll make something work. And the first year they did, I was able to do both. I was able to do jazz and then the classical. I didn't really practice jazz though in high school. I never played along with records because I just didn't really know what I liked.
Well, it's a very different aesthetic, right?
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I found that like in high school, I don't know if I rediscovered it, but I think I kind of realized around Christmas time you listen to like you watch like the Peanuts movies and stuff like that, and that's all jazz. And I'm like, oh, I grew up, I loved that music. That was great. I loved Frank Sinatra, so I tried to connect some dots and be like, oh, what's some stuff that is considered jazz that I have already been listening to, and I just never really
Okay.
realized it. And so I remember Vince Guaraldi is like a big inspiration to just keep going with it, because I just really wasn't into it for a while. And Vince Guaraldi was the one guy that I would listen to that would really like ground me and be like, no, I can do this. Like he's very I wouldn't say he's simple, but he like what to expect when you listen to him, and he's just very comforting. A lot of similar lines that he plays, and the
Hmm.
comping is very similar. Like you put him on, and like I could tell you that it was him. And I
Right.
think a lot of
A signature.
he's got a
Sure.
very distinct sound to me, at least. So he is someone who really helped me, and I love Frank Sinatra. Like I would listen to him a bunch in high school, and when I think Sirius XM had a 40s on 4 channel. They took it off like a while ago, but I would listen to all of those stuff from like the 40s.
It's
I
such
yeah.
great. It's so great.
Yeah.
The arrangements. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
so much
It's
fun.
yeah.
But now, and
Yeah.
it's funny now like 40s like big band music is some of my favorite jazz to listen to. I'll just put on like a Frank Sinatra, Tommy Dorsey record that's like I don't know, however long, and just there's a big compilation record. I think it's called "This Song Is You," and it's like 100 something songs, and I'll just put it on like road trips or whatever, and it's great.
It
Yeah,
is. It is. I love that stuff too.
yeah.
When I was a kid, my dad turned me on to Benny Goodman
Oh
and
yeah,
Artie Shaw.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I was listening to, of course, everything,
Mhm,
but I would listen to swing and
mhm.
big band and I absolutely loved it, especially as a drummer,
Mm-hmm. Oh
because the
yeah.
drummers were so dynamic. And as I got older and got more into my instrument, I realized that most of the rock drummers that I was listening to, they were listening to these
Mm-hmm.
swing bopping, big band guys,
Yeah.
and copying everything from them. It's, really dynamic music, really exciting.
Yeah.
And then, so the Birdland Jazz thing, you've been doing that for a minute now, right? Right?
Since about 2022.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And that happened
Through college.
through college.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after high school and after my first tour, that got shut down by COVID, my mom's like, "You're not sitting around and waiting. You're going to college." Um, so
Again, I can see it.
yeah. So I went to SUNY Purchase
Hmm.
and for jazz and um I think, how did I get into the Birdland stuff? I think at college I was still kind of grappling with the me not really liking jazz, but that it was just
This is really interesting. I
yeah.
have to say, because I assume that you always loved it.
No.
So again, from the outside, from viewing you, I would think, oh, jazz has just always been her thing. But here I'm learning that it's not.
Yeah, I guess to backtrack a little bit, when I in high school, the first year was fine. I was able to do classical and jazz, and then I had this horrible dean of music. He was just a terrible guy.
At SUNY?
No, at my high school.
Oh,
He
okay.
was just terrible and just hated people for zero reason. And
Mm.
I don't say this lightly because I'm not this kind of person to just like make this as an excuse or say this, but like I genuinely think he was very misogynistic. um,
I
I
I
usually,
believe you, and
yeah.
and you're probably right.
I usually ignore that kind of thing, and I'm like, that's not the real. A lot of like sometimes I hear women musicians go like, "Oh, I didn't get this gig because I'm a female and this and that," and I try to like that is a thing that happens, but I try to be
Yeah, of
like,
course it does.
I want to be the best musician I can be, and not just be. I don't want to be a female musician. I want to be a musician. But
Right.
that's why I auditioned for colleges with for jazz because I really wasn't playing classical anymore. I mean, the last time I've been doing a little bit more now, but before I think I played with the Richmond County Orchestra like not that long ago, and that was like the first time in a long time that I played like with an orchestra, not just like concert band stuff with the Staten Island Philharmonic, which uses a bow, but it's not really as the same like dynamic wise for me because I'm um, but the last time I played in like with a full orchestra before that was I think in 2016.
Wow. Okay. So
It was a pretty good way to go out. I played at the Sydney Opera House, so that was pretty cool.
yeah,
But that was the last time I like did like a real orchestra thing.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, but so I auditioned for college for jazz, and that's why I was at SUNY Purchase for jazz. And my first year, I was still struggling a bit because I'd just gotten off of tour with Waitress, and I was like, I don't want to go to school. Like I'm working. I don't want to go
Yeah.
back to school. I feel like I was going back to square one. At the end of my freshman year, I finally started to like figure it out and feel like, oh, I'm able to put first of all make up ideas and then put them on the bass. So it was kind of I felt like I finally had a breakthrough
Mm-hmm.
like the end of my freshman year of college. And that's when I started to like it a little bit more because I finally, after years of just not liking it and doing it, I figured it out. Um, which was cool. And then
So was
around
it like an epiphany almost?
it literally would just happen during one of my classes and they were just making us improvise over it was like a repertoire class and they were just making us improvise over something and I just started playing and I was just like, oh wait a second. Why is this working now?
So
Like what it was
okay.
really weird.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just
Wow.
very sudden. Like I don't remember like the day, but I just remember the room and like what it looked like when it was happening. I was like, "Oh, what that sounded okay." Like I'm
All
not mad
right.
about that.
Great.
Yeah, but so then after that I started like hanging out with the teachers a little bit more just cuz I felt better about myself to do that and I was hanging out with one of the teachers, David DeJesus, and he ran the Birdland Big Band, or he still runs the Birdland Big Band, and he said, "Oh, you should come down to the city on Friday nights and hang out." And I was like, "Yeah, I love seeing live music. I mean, I would do that all the time in high school." So I went, and I really liked it. And I was just like, oh, "Can I just keep going? Is that cool?" I just wanted to hang out, and even just talking with the people in the band. It was just really fun. Like, I love talking to older musicians, even they're not like older, just people older than me. You know, to just
most people are older than you. God bless you.
Yeah. So
God bless you.
Anyone who's been doing that, I just like talking to them and hearing what they have to say, and that kind of really drives me to do better, you know. So but I just really enjoyed it, and eventually I just was going almost every week, and DeJesus was he said, "Oh, would you like to like sit in on a song?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be really cool." And
now, with some of these musicians also like Broadway players?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's not how I got into Broadway, though.
No.
So I'll tell you.
That's another story.
Yeah. But yeah, there a lot of them, especially all the horn players.
Yeah. So they do their gig and then they run up to Birdland.
Yeah. Well, they do. Yeah. So the Birdland Big Band is from 5:30 to 6:45, so they could just run right to their shows right afterwards, which is like super convenient.
Yeah.
And we have, they make sure the dress code matches, like, oh, wear all black, so you can wear all black in the pits when you get there and whatever. It's really cool. I didn't realize that they all played in the pits until like a little bit later. But anyway, so he started me out with playing a song or playing a couple, and then eventually he said, "Would you like to play your first show, a full show on this day?" And I was like, "Yeah." So it was like sometime in April 2022. That was when I first played, and usually when other like kids play, like they get like really, really, really nervous, and I was just very fortunate that I've had a lot of performance experience.
Well, yeah, exactly. You had already been on tour with Waitress, right?
Yeah.
So right.
And just playing in front of like thousands of people, and there's like a Staten Island fest I did like in 6th grade playing bass for the first time live. It was like the Beatles fest.
Please welcome Catherine Michetti. Catherine, isn't there a law that says the instrument can't be bigger than you?
Your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always be true. And then while I'm away, I'll write home every day, and I'll send all my loving to you.
Beatles fest there, and I played there with Kathy like when I was in 6th grade, like 7,000 people or whatever. So I'm not like sometimes I get nervous, but I was like, this is fine. I can't really see them. I'm focusing, and I wasn't super nervous. I still like messed up a couple things here and there, but generally he was just like, "Oh, you were really relaxed," and that was really good. So he felt comfortable having me back again, and then his main bass player left, or I think she was pregnant, and then like had kids, and she couldn't play for a while. And so then I was just subbing in like all the time, and then he got another bass player, this lady, Noriko Ueda, who's just like a monster bass player. She's absolutely ridiculous. I think one of the best bass players in New York, and I'm just like, I get to sub in for you? Wow.
Yeah.
Like, she is incredible.
Well, that's not a small thing, though,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, but they call me a little bit less than before, just because I've been a little bit busier lately. But I'll play like maybe once or twice a month, which is pretty cool. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I was at your senior recital.
Yes.
At Cindy Purchase.
Transcription final it went over very well. I got an A+, and he like never ever gives A+. Like the last person he gave an A+ to, besides the couple people in my class that he gave this opportunity to like get an A+, was Samara Joy. I don't know if you know Samara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not personally, but I'm familiar with her work. Yeah. So sure.
She's the last person that he gave an A+ to.
Okay.
So, it was me. I got an A+ in Anais Reno. the girl singer from my shows in the backyard.
Anais, yeah, and
she got an A plus as well. Yeah.
And your final, and your recital, your
Yes.
senior recital. Yes, she's fantastic.
She's ridiculous. Yeah.
She's
So she
fantastic.
got an A plus as well.
Okay.
So what they did is my class didn't do very good. They didn't really transcribe a lot, and the teacher for that class is John Faddis. I don't know if you know who John Faddis is.
I can't say I do.
He is Dizzy Gillespie's protege, and he's like a huge deal. Like, YMCA, the screaming trumpets, the bow, bow. That's him.
He's actually playing on it?
That's him playing
Wow.
trumpet on that. He's been on he's played with Paul Simon and Billy Joel and Chuck Mangione
I'm
and
surprised
everybody.
I don't know his name because I know a lot of who a lot of players are. Okay.
I encourage you to look him up for sure. But he's
going to.
He's a huge deal, and he teaches a transcription class, and everyone knows when you go to Purchase, you look up your teachers and you see what John has done, and my first reaction is I'm going to do the best I can and be tight with this guy because he's a huge deal and has all these connections.
What an opportunity! Yeah,
you can learn so much from him. And people in my class were just slacking and not doing great and barely showing up for class, and I was just like, how? I don't understand it. So I commuted from Staten Island my last year when I had the class with John Faddis. I was living in Staten Island and then driving up to Purchase, which is pretty far.
That's
I just didn't want to live on campus again. But I'm glad I did that. I was really tired, but I was happy to sleep in my own bed with my cats and have my own space and not live with college people. And
sure.
So it was just much better. But so I had less time to practice just because I was driving all the time. But I would still go home and I would practice, or I'd show up to Purchase early and I'd practice. I'd figure it out, and by the end of the year, I did about 9 to 10 transcriptions, which isn't terrible. I could have done. But so at the end of the year, he kept when final season was around, he said. Everybody had to do a final. We were okay, and we were picking out dates and stuff like that. And then he asked for me and Anais, this drummer girl, Gialu, and then 2 guys in the class. I think who were they? I don't remember. There was a bass player, Gabe, and then someone else, and I can't remember who it was. And he asked us all to stay back, and we were like, what's going on? And he said, so you guys have been the reason that I've been coming to class. I've been very disappointed this semester, but you guys it's been nice to hear you play.
Okay.
We're like, okay. And he's like, so I'm going to give you options. And we were like, okay. He said, so you're going to get an A in the class. You don't have to take the final if you don't want to. You can just take the A and leave it at that. Or you can do the final and try for an A plus, although you might get a lower score than an A. You're not just going to be given the A. You just,
That's an interesting conundrum.
Right? So
yeah.
I was really busy at that time, and I was going up to Boston a bunch for my friend's recital and doing all this stuff, and I was really busy, and I'm like, when am I going to find time to practice for this? Because I was going up to Boston the next weekend as well. And I was just like, oh, man. So everybody had answered already. And he's like, Catherine, what are you going to do? And I was just looking. And I'm like, the 2 guys said, no, they're just going to take the A. And then the 2 girls said, oh, I'm going to try for the A+. I'm like, I don't want to be the one girl to not take the A+. I mean, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. He's been really good to me. And I think the least I could do was try for the A+, So,
I understand, sure.
I did that, and the 3 of us ended up getting it, which is cool. But but it was just it felt good to actually do it and do a good job, and just end off my 4 disconnected years at Purchase on a good note like that. So
Yeah, I remember going to see you in Philadelphia in company.
Yeah.
And that was when you were deciding. I think that was when you were deciding. Yeah, I'm going to finish school.
Well, my mom told me to finish school.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, of course, your mom is instrumental. No pun intended. Your mom is instrumental in everything. Everything that you move forward in. There's Amy. God love her.
Yeah. She always knows what's best for me.
She does.
I always go to her. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah. Look, I actually ask your mom advice sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Yeah. She's very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, God love her. So, and I remember, I think I had a conversation with you. Finish school, love. Just get that,
Yeah.
degree,
1 year.
get it behind you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful you did. I'm sure you are too. So now, periodically, we talked about this a little bit before, but let's revisit it. You have had the opportunity to play in the pits for The Great Gatsby on Broadway.
Hmm.
You've done a few shows, you mentioned, a few performances. And now, what exactly is going on? A shutdown
Oh
or
yeah. So the musicians union local 802 is probably going to be going on strike tomorrow. What is
okay.
that, Thursday the 23rd? Um, I don't know as much about it as I probably should as a union member. But from what I've been like reading and seeing and getting emails and stuff like that, it's the Broadway League who's kind of in charge of everything. They are. We've been negotiating our contract, or the just only the Broadway contract, not off Broadway or not tours. It's just the
Okay.
Broadway contract with the Broadway League. And I think this year we've made like the shows, all the Broadway shows have made like a lot of profit, and they've made the most money in like a long time, like a bunch of years. And
Well, certainly after COVID,
yeah.
the COVID recovery,
Hmm.
sure.
So I'm not going to be great with explaining this, but
It's okay. It's okay.
yeah, so Broadway's been making a lot of money, and the Broadway League is basically saying, well, even though we're making more, the shows have been making more money, we want you to get paid less and to have less health benefits and stuff. I'm like, what? Like, what? We're all just like, what do you mean? That's crazy. Why we're
Yeah.
making the producers and the Broadway, they're making all this money, and we're making a fair kind of livable salary for living in New York City, but it's just so
Uh,
expensive. Like to get us to
yeah.
be paid less, and then to also
Yeah, and
get like to
it doesn't get cheaper to live here either.
no, it's crazy. So it's a bit yeah. So that's why
Yeah.
they've been trying to negotiate. I remember.
No, not to get too personal, but you have love in your life,
Oh yes,
right? Which
yeah,
is, really wonderful.
yes,
And it's relatively new.
yes, yeah. Like almost 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. And he's a musician as well?
He is, yeah. So he plays piano. Well, I met him when I was going up to Berkeley and doing all those trips up there for my friend. And he plays piano, but he's mostly a writer. So he composes music, and he also writes lyrics, and he does a lot of theater stuff. Like that's mainly what he writes. So
Terrific.
yeah, but he also arranges and does copywork. He does everything.
I'm
So
sure.
yeah,
I met him at your
yeah,
graduation
yes,
party
yeah.
at Besso. I had a lovely steak.
Yes, yeah, me too. It was great.
It
Yeah.
was terrific. Um, so let me ask, do you teach at all?
I haven't really taught in a while, and then literally yesterday someone reached out to me to teach her private bass lessons, like electric bass lessons. I was like, yeah, sure. I love teaching private lessons. I don't mind that at all. I just haven't really advertised myself to do that because I gig or do other things. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Well, teaching is learning. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That's terrific. That's terrific. So what are you listening to these days?
Honestly, most of what I listen to is just what I have to be doing for work. So right now
Okay.
I'm working on I've been practicing. I have this show up in Tarrytown. It's like a concert version of a musical called Tarrytown, and that's it's a modern retelling of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Ichabod Crane,
Yeah.
The Headless Horseman. I'm familiar.
Yeah, so it's like three person cast is very small, and the music's very there's a lot of strings and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Okay.
I really like it. It's like
Sounds weird. Like
it's interesting. It's an interesting like concept. Which from what I only know what I've been listening to from the soundtrack. I mean, I'm the first day that I'm going to be playing with the singers is the day of the show.
Okay.
So, but it's when you're learning a musical, you really need to like listen.
Rehearse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen and make sure you do your homework. So I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and practice, but every time I'm in the car, I play the whole entire soundtrack. Like I could sing the whole thing now if I needed to,
Sure.
So that really helps just to get to know it as well.
I love. I once played in the pit for Godspell,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
which is one of the first performances I saw you performing in. Was this sort of retrospective of Godspell? Remember at the Empire Outlets?
Oh gosh.
Steven was the musical director.
That show was crazy.
I know.
That show was crazy.
It was. It was. It was. That was when
Yeah.
your mom and I were first becoming friends,
Yeah.
and Trish, and yeah.
That's
so,
the guitar player Patrick, who's in my yacht rock band with Steve. That's when we first met, and for that show, and we were sharing a stand together. And I remember I was coming down from Purchase just for that show, and I get a call from the drummer Bill Harding, and he's just like, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" I was like, "No, I'm in Staten Island. What's going on?" Or I was on the ferry.
Right.
He was picking me up, and he's like, so they never got the rights to the show. So they asked the singers to all bring in like new music, and we had to just
Right.
sight read like from piano conductor scores, like 18 new songs.
I remember.
So the guitar player and I were sharing a stand, and we call it our trauma bonding experience because we were just like, what's going on?
And you ended up doing From Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah. It was insane, and then we ended up becoming really good friends from that. So me and Patrick and Steve, we all send each other memes. So,
I love it. Did you go to any concerts this summer?
Did I? I think I saw some musicals this summer, but
Okay.
I haven't really been to a concert in a while. I would
Except
like
for
to-
Live at 55.
Except for Live at 55. I would like to go to some stuff. Like I always see like Chicago's playing around sometimes, and I've seen Chicago before, and I love
Yeah, me
them.
too.
Or, like Yes, I love them too. And but yeah, I haven't. I'm trying to think if I've.
No,
been
I
to a
mean, you've been
concert.
busy.
A little bit,
Yeah,
yeah. So, I go see some jazz shows here and there as well. So I'll do that. But I can't
I'm
think.
going. Lisa and I are going to see Richard Thompson at Carnegie Hall.
Oh wow, very
so
cool.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
With Tommy Emmanuel, who's a brilliant.
He's
guitarist.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Wow, that's
and
really cool.
she's never seen it. She's never seen Richard Thompson, so
Okay,
we're
yeah.
looking very forward to it. Yeah,
That's really cool.
I've seen him 100 times.
Yeah.
But it's going to be great. I've never seen him at Carnegie Hall.
Carnegie Hall's
So-
amazing.
Oh, isn't
Yeah.
it? Isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, love. Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm going on the Great Gatsby tour. I'm pretty pumped about that. That's really exciting.
Thanks for pulling that out of the hat at the last minute. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Where is it? East Coast. Tell me about the tour.
It's all across the United States.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know the specifics yet.
Okay.
Because I think they're still casting the show.
I
so
see.
I don't know much about it. They said I could start talking about it like mid-October. It's
Oh,
mid-October.
it's
so-
late October.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so it took me a few weeks, so I was really nervous. I'm like, I don't want to like ask for gigs. That's weird, you know. But so I ended up reaching out. I was just kind of a nice email being like, hi, my name's Catherine. I just graduated from City Purchase, and I was on the company tour. Since I just graduated, if I would love to go on tour again, if you think I would be fit for anything, please let me know. Here's my contact information. Here's my resume. If you need videos or whatever, I can try to pull some
Okay.
stuff together. I don't really have videos of me playing besides what my mom's recorded. So I just was like, if you need anything, I could try to pull some stuff together. And then the next day, the contractor for Gatsby called me, who's actually a bass player. So I've known about him for a long time. And he called me the next day, and he was just like, would you want to do the Gatsby tour? And I was like, yeah. And he said, the best way that I can get you in to doing the tour is if I get you to sub in on the Broadway show. Would you be okay with that? And I was just like,
Let me think.
it's been my dream since I was like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to play on Broadway forever.
Oh, come on, that's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I wanted to just I remember in high school when I first discovered like that you can do that for a living. I was just like, that took me out of the sad like little hole I was in about the whole jazz thing in high school. I was like, what?
I could be in that pit.
Yeah.
doing what I love. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I talk about how that happened? How I got into
Please,
that? Because
please.
I just I love talking
Please
about
tell
it.
me.
It's so
Tell
much
me,
fun.
love.
So I was like really sad about the whole jazz thing. I didn't, and then classical wasn't working out, and I was just kind of I felt like in a little bit of a rut. And I remember my mom was like, "Oh, my brother, this all connects, I promise."
Let's
It's
hear
a
it.
weird connection, but it
Shout
all
out to
connects.
Luke. I love him.
Yeah, so my brother Luke, he's on the autism spectrum, and when he was younger, he had respite workers come to the house and like help him. And one of his respite workers' girlfriends, this girl Brittany, she was a dance captain for A Bronx Tale on Broadway.
Okay.
And I think my mom was like, "Oh, we should go see her." I was like, "Okay." So she got us tickets. Well, I thought she got us tickets, and we meet at the theater because I was already in the city earlier for something, and she only got one ticket, and I was like, what's going on? And she's like, "Yeah, just like wait here," and I was just like waiting around. I'm like, "What's going on?" And then Brittany comes out. She's like, "Hey, you're gonna come with me," and I was like, "Let's go." Like what?
Yeah.
My mom's like, "Yeah, no, you're gonna." I'm like, "Okay." So Brittany brings me back, and she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna be sitting in the pit today," and I was like, "What?" Like, I'm like, "That's something you can do?" Like, what? So I sat. I met Chaz Palminteri. He was actually there. And she's like, "Oh, do you know who that?" I'm like, "I don't know who that is." And she's like, "You're gonna want to take a picture with him." I was like, "Okay," but so I was all just like, I had no idea what was going on. And I sit in the pit. I sit next to the conductor, and so we were. I just. It was not like a typical pit where the conductor's like a little bit above this, like above, and he could see the stage. It was all in like a big room underneath the stage. Like just he was using he had a camera
Prompters?
on him, and he had another camera for the stage. So I got to watch like the whole show as well as watch him conduct and do all this stuff. But I was on the conductor camera,
Okay.
so all my reactions and just that was there. So and I had never seen the movie of A Bronx Tale either. So I'm sitting through the show watching this show and
Wow.
just like trying not to cry at the end.
It's so fantastic.
But like during intermission, I was just like enamored by like that you can do this for a living, and I'm like, wow, this is like no one sees you, and you're just kind of hanging out, and like you're playing in like a cozy black room, and like it seems really cool. And I was talking with the bass player, this guy Francisco, and I was like, "Oh, this is really, really cool. I would love to like try to do this." He's like, "You don't want to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. This seems really cool." He's like, "Okay." And after the show was over, I was like, "Can we like keep in touch or something? Like, I want to do what you
Sure,
do.
of
Like,
course,
I
of
want to look
course.
into this some more because this seems really exciting. Like, it's not classical music, but you're reading all the music and you're playing electric and upright and you're bowing and you're plucking and you're doing." All the things that a bass player can do in one show. I
one
mean,
show.
that's like great, you know? So he's like, "Yeah, let's absolutely, let's keep in touch." I still have his card actually, and we
course.
kept he was like my mentor throughout all of high school. And he really helped me to like kind of discover, I mean, that's like what I wanted to do. And I didn't realize until a little bit later that Francisco is kind of a huge deal too. He's played with like Aretha Franklin and Eric Clapton and Bruce Springsteen, and he's been on TV.
Some known names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's been I think his first real performance was I think what was that TV program in the 70s, Soul Train?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he was on
really.
Soul Train when he was like 12
Okay,
or something
then.
something like that. You know, like he's been doing this for
Wow.
since he was very young, and
Okay.
he's like a big deal. So it was really cool to and he did like Seussical on Broadway. I think he did Gospel. He did Hairspray as well. He's done a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So he was my mentor throughout high school, and he was like kind of like, "Oh, you should like reach out to other people. Why not? You know, you don't have to like." I felt like I was like cheating on him, like with I didn't want to like, you know, I didn't want. I had to talk to
Yeah.
another bass player. You're the bass player I want to talk to, but I did. I listened to him, and I met a bunch of. I would just go on Facebook and look up. There's a website called BroadwayMusicians.com that say all the musicians that are on all the shows. So I'd look up all the bass players and I'd follow them on Facebook, and if they followed me back, I'd shoot them a message and be like, "Hey, my name's Catherine. I'm in high school. I play bass. I do this, and like I'm really interested in what you do. Can I like maybe take you out for coffee or like
so,
bring you
that's
to
so
like
inventive, really.
yeah, like can I go sit in the pit or watch or just talk to you about some stuff? And like I got to do that with a bunch of people. Most people were on Broadway except for one guy who actually was on a phone call for about an hour and a half with Billy Joel's bass player.
Really?
Yeah, I like reached out to him on
Wow.
Facebook and he answered me back and I was like, wow. I never got
Wow.
to meet him in person because the day that I went to go see Billy Joel, Peter Frampton was there, and it was Billy Joel's 70th birthday, and it was like he's like, no one's allowed backstage, and I was like, that's fine, I get that. But yeah, so everyone, I reached out to a lot of people, and then I my first tour, the Waitress, the Sarah Bareilles musical, I got kind of through doing that. Sort of. Someone, I'd already been following the Waitress people, but I made a list of like the shows that within the people that I reached out to. So I'm like, okay, Aladdin and this, and I did alphabetical. So Waitress was on the bottom because W, and
Yeah.
and also I was just kind of I wasn't super into like the pop musicals like that, so it wasn't like the first thing on my list to think of, and so I was just waiting until afterwards to reach out to them, and then I got a call from or text or something from one of my substitute teachers in high school who I became friends with, and like we would just like hang out during class because he used to play bass, and then I got him into playing bass again, and he was like, hey, I see that you're friends with this like Lee Nadel on Facebook. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how do you know him? I'm like, oh, I don't. I followed him. He followed me back. And I was eventually going to reach out and talk to him about like Waitress stuff and ask him if I could like sit in the pit, but there's not really a pit for that show. And he was like, oh, well, Lee just asked me to sub in on the show, but I'm not able to because I just got a new job. Like he's a dean of music at a school or something. He's like, would you want me to reach out to him and see if you could sub in on the show? And I was like 17 and I'm just like, yeah, yes, yeah. So I went and I was that like my senior year of high school was pretty much exclusively me disassociating during my classes and then going to Waitress after school. So
I'm completely understand.
yeah, so I made sure to keep up grades and stuff like that. But yeah,
I understand.
So I was hanging out at Waitress a lot, and then in May or something, I remember getting a text from Lee saying, "Hey, so you got two options. You can either go to college and sub in on the Broadway show, or you can take the tour. We'll just give it to you. You don't have to audition or anything." And I was just like, wow, I don't know. I really didn't know because I mean, part of me wants to go on tour.
You were young, yeah. I could see it being a little daunting. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I asked everybody I knew. I took like 3 weeks to answer because I just was like, I don't know.
What was your mom saying?
She was saying, I think she wanted me to go on tour, but she was also like, you really should go to school, and it was a mix between like certain things. And then someone recommended that I reach out to my college professors who would be my professors in college, and I reached out to them and I did not get a good email back. It was pretty bad. And it was really like, you're not ready to do this, and as a father I know it's best for you. And then one of the other teachers just said no. That was the email. It was like it was just really bad and like kind of putting me down, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't have gotten this if I didn't. I was going to Waitress all the time. I'd been basically Waitress, the show, the band is on stage for a lot of the show, but then there's a lot of stuff that's played like backstage or when the bandstand is not seen, like this stuff covering it, and that like half of the show is played backstage. At that point, when I was going there all the time, they were just letting me play all the backstage songs, so I was playing about half the show
Right
on Broadway
right
when I was 17 or 18.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of felt, I understand to a point where like, okay, I just got out of high school. I think that's a lot to let like someone who's barely, not even an adult, like I just turned 18, like barely, to go out on the road and go explore the country like that with people who are older than you. That's daunting. I can understand that, but for me, just felt like kind of bad for people saying like, you're not ready and like you should be learning.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I don't know. I showed my mom the email. I'm like, what do I make of this? And she's just like, she did not like that email at all, and she's just like, nope, you're going on tour. And I was like, okay. So
Mom
I remember,
knows best.
yeah, she knows best. So I did, and then I went on the Waitress tour for a few months, and then I got shut down by COVID, and that's why I went to college.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. So that's that, and then company came out of nowhere.
Company came out of nowhere.
Literally,
Yeah.
I was subbing in, Russ Annixter.
Sure, Russ Annixter, sure.
And so I hadn't met him at that point. This was like 2022. Yeah. No, this is 2023. And it was during my summer break, and I got a Facebook message from him. I was friends with him because I knew he knew my mom, and I think she talked about him a little bit, and he reached out to me, and he just was like, hey, I know you through your mom, and I come to the concerts sometimes, and I have this big band, and my bass player isn't around, and he never calls out, but he's not around to play for this rehearsal. Would you be around to do it? It was like really short notice. It was like less than 24 hours notice. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm around. I can do it. He's like, it doesn't pay. I'm really sorry. He's like, this is at the Union Building. And, I'm like, I had nothing to do. And I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I don't mind. And it was at the Union Building. I'd never been there. I was like, yeah, I'll make the trip into the city. That's fine. And he sent me his music, and I didn't really have time to practice it because I was out doing stuff, and I was looking at it, and I was just like, geez, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was like some of the hardest stuff I had to play. And like up there with Julie Maniscalco's stuff, which is very difficult. And I didn't have time to even put it on the bass at all, so I was panicking a little bit. But I was like, no, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. You know how to read music. You can do it. And I got there kind of early, and I was unpacking whatever, and then I read through everything, and I felt very good. Everyone was just, they're so talented. So I really didn't, even with like my pretty okay reading ability, like I felt like great because everyone just knew what they were doing, and they were awesome.
Well, according to Russ, it went remarkably well.
It went really well. I was genuinely even surprised at myself. I actually felt really pretty good about it.
It's very reassuring when we have those moments.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, and I didn't think anything would come of it. I was just like, wow, I'd been practicing a lot of sight reading that summer just to get better at it because Purchase wasn't really teaching me that or helping me with that much at all. So I was just like, let me do it myself. So I was just reading through bootlegs of shows that I had just to, practice like reading on the spot. And so that really helped me with this rehearsal, which I was like, oh, this is nice that I get to like put this to use and whatever. And then I didn't realize me being me, like I've been doing this since high school, like reaching out to people and just sort of being like, hey, like let's keep in touch. So I did that with the drummer, Scott, and then the guitar player, because we were both all next to each other, the guitar player, Michael Aarons. And later that day, I'm hanging out at my friend's house in Queens, and I get a text from Michael Aarons. He's like, hey, man, you sounded really great. And I'm a contractor, like a Broadway contractor, and I was wondering if you want to go on the company tour. And I'd seen company, like the signs on Broadway. I'd seen like videos of like ads and stuff.
Sondheim,
and it
right?
looked really cool. And it looked really cool, like just like the neon lights and this like the minimalism of the set. I was like, oh, I wanted to see it when it was on, and I never got to see it. And I didn't know it was Sondheim. I didn't really know anything about the show, honestly.
Okay.
But it looks kind of cool, and I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, I've heard of that show, yeah. And I'm like, well, I would love to, but I'm in school. And he's like, okay. I'm like, can we talk about it? I have some questions. He's like, yeah, sure. So we talked about it. I'm like, first question, is it a union gig? And he was like, yes. I was like, wow, that's a big deal, because I'd been offered, I think, another show earlier that summer that wasn't a union gig. I think I was offered the Cher show tour. And I was like, I can't take that. It's not going to pay enough.
Right,
I don't really
right.
want to live on a bus for a year.
Yeah.
I did that.
No,
I
you
did
do
it.
not.
I did it at 18, and people were like, you have the energy to do that. You can do that. I did it at 18, and I didn't have the energy to do that. Let alone now. No.
I understand. I mean, it's so arduous.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a sleeper bus. It was just a coach bus.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
And so I was asking him these questions, and he's like, you'd be getting paid this much per week, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's money I haven't seen before.
Substantial, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, wow. I'm like, that sounds really cool. I'm like, do you mind if I like take a little bit of time to like talk about it and like think about it? He's like, yeah, he's like relatively soon. I'd like to. He's like, it's an unofficial offer. I got to talk to some people first as well. So just think about it. Let me know. And I was like, okay. So I didn't do what I did for Waitress, because I asked everybody I knew for Waitress. I kind of kept it to a couple.
Yeah, you lived and you learned.
Yeah.
You lived and you learned.
So
Okay.
I kept it to a few people. Like I talked to my mom, my dad, my grandpa, people close to me, and like, what should I do? And I think I talked to one of my teachers about it as well. And at the end of the day, I was just like, I have to do this. It's a union gig, and I know a bunch of people were telling me like, oh, it's not the first time you're gonna get this. You're gonna get another one. I'm like, yeah, but I have one now. And this will really set me up for afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, it'll really help that I have.
The moment is now, right?
Yeah,
right.
It'll help that I have the experience, and then if I do go back to school and then I'm out, people will be like, oh wow, she's done 2 tours and finished school already. You know, like that looks pretty good on the resume, I'd say.
And so here you are in that situation.
Yeah, so then they offered me the tour, and I decided to take it. I left early, like 2 months early, so I could go back to finish school. My school wouldn't let me finish the tour, and I was kind of mad about it, but I was like, whatever. So one day I'd love to finish a tour. That would be really cool.
Well, it sounds like with this Gatsby, you're going to finish a tour.
Well, we'll see. The tour is, I think, already booked for like 2 years, which is a long time, and I think it could be even more. That's just how long they've booked it for. But they're I think because it's such a popular show,
it's doing extremely well.
Yeah, so I think it's probably going to go for a while if people let it, you know. So I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be staying on it.
I was going to say, would you sign, like, do you sign a contract like for a year or 6 months, or is it individual to the,
I'm not sure. I think
okay.
I think it depends on like if you have other job opportunities, or like if you get another thing or whatever, you can take off. I think that you have to stay on it for a minimum of 6 months. That's what I've heard from someone. I will be there for at least a year, you know.
Sure.
So I would love to stay for 2 years and maybe make it to like the West Coast, because that was my favorite part of the company tour. Even when I did Waitress, that was my favorite part as well, was being on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, I would like to stay until then. But we'll see. I mean, it depends like where life goes and what's going on, and I'm open to other things happening, and being away from New York is kind of hard because you're not actively working and making connections. So once you move back here, it might be a little bit difficult to break back into the scene again. So the longer you're away, the harder it might be.
I see.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how I'm feeling, because also touring, you just save money. Like, I don't have an apartment. I don't really have much. I don't really have many bills to pay. I'm very fortunate. I still live with my mom, so I'm kind of once I go on tour with Gatsby, I'll just kind of be saving, and that's
a great scenario.
Yeah, so
that's terrific.
Can't complain about that.
No, honey, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, and I'll have you back.
Yeah.
I'll have you back, and it'll be interesting to see where things are at.
Definitely,
at that time. And I can't wait to come see it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, as soon as I find out, like, really when the, like, closest dates are, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I think the closest is D.C. and Boston right now, which aren't very close, but,
Lisa and I would go to Boston.
Okay, yeah.
We went to Philly, we'd go to Boston.
For sure. I think D.C.'s a little closer, but, yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be really cool, though. I'm excited.
All right.
Yeah.
Terrific. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah.
You probably, I'm glad that it coincided that you're actually able to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know certain things you have to keep under wraps.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, I'll tell people in person, but I'm just like on social media, they were like, oh, maybe like, wait a little while.
Yeah.
Because I got the offer in like early September.
Okay.
So I was the first musician they were considering, but I was the last musician to actually get the gig, which was interesting. They had some other people who had been touring for a long time who they really know their stuff. And actually the music director, conductor for Company is going to be doing The Great Gatsby. Charlie, who is one of my favorite people. I'm really excited. So it's going to be great.
It's meant to be.
And I know the piano, both of the keyboard players, and I haven't met the drummer yet, but it's going to be fun. So
terrific. Yeah. All right. Great. Very exciting. Catherine, I love you. I'm so grateful that you gave me this time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So again, everybody, thanks again for tuning into Conversations with Jonas. I'm really very grateful. Be well. All the best.